Peace and blessings to the family. It's me, Coach67 Sports TV. Shout out to the awesome and amazing LDBC. In this special Black History Month edition of Jaguar Talk with Coach67, I'm going to start things off differently than I would ordinarily start them off. Let me talk to y'all tonight. This isn't just another episode. This is bigger than football, bigger than the swag, bigger than rankings and recruiting battles. This is about legacy, heritage, and history. Historically, black colleges and universities, HBCUs were never just schools. They were built out of necessity. When doors were closed, when laws said we couldn't learn, when society said we weren't worthy, our ancestors built institutions anyway. Schools like Southern University, like Howard University, like Grambling State, like Jackson State, like FAMU, weren't created for convenience. They were created for survival. They were created to educate black doctors when hospitals wouldn't, black lawyers when courtrooms were hostile, black teachers when classrooms were segregated, black engineers, scientists, artists, leaders when America tried to limit all of it. And today in 2026, we are still beneficiaries of that vision. When we talk about sports, because y'all know I'm a sportsman, we can't ignore what HBCUs gave to the world. Before Power 5, before the NIL, before ESPN cameras were everywhere, there were greatness like Jerry Rice, great wide receiver from Mississippi Valley University, Walter Payton from Jackson State, Sweetness, a legend whose name is one of NFL's Man of the Year award. Steve Ed McNair from Alcorn State. In modern times, you saw the cultural shift when Deion Sanders came to Jackson State. This wasn't just football. This was attention. That was investment. That was validation of what we already knew. HBCUs have always had talent. We just didn't always have the spotlight. But guess what? We never lost the culture. Whether we talk about the human jukebox, the sonic boom of the South. Let's talk about culture, the pageantry, the bands, the tailgates. The world knows about the human jukebox, the sound, the precision, that swagger. You don't replicate that. You experience it. HBCU culture isn't manufactured. It's inherited. When you post those clips, and when you see these clips I post on my channel, people comment from all over the country. That's the proof that the culture resonates beyond campus boundaries. In addition, civil rights leaders who opened the doors for us. People we couldn't even be here without their sacrifice, without courage, without people willing to lose everything so we could gain something. People like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., like Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, Thurgood Marshall, Harriet Tubman. These weren't just names in textbooks. These were disruptors of justice. They fought segregation so we could sit in classrooms freely. They challenged systems so we could vote. They stood tall so we could stand here today and debate football programs instead of fighting for basic rights. Perspective matters. Black inventors and trailblazers. Let's go even deeper. Innovation. George Washington Carver, Madam C.J. Walker, some of the most profound people in Black history. Madam C.J. Walker, self-made millionaire. Gary Morgan improved the traffic signal and invented a safety hood. Katherine Johnson, the mathematician whose calculations helped send astronauts to space. These individuals weren't given easy paths. They created their own lanes. And every time we upload content, every time we speak freely, every time we build our own platforms, like myself, we are walking in lanes they've paid for us. Why does this matter in 2026? In 2026, HBCUs are still relevant, still necessary, still powerful. Enrollment is still growing. Visibility is growing. Pride is growing. But legacy doesn't maintain itself. We have to protect it, promote it, and celebrate it. That's what this channel does. When I cover Southern University football, when I highlight the human jukebox, when I break down games, when I collaborate with other HBCU content creators, I am documenting culture. I am archiving moments. I am making sure these stories are told by someone who understands them. So this is Black History Month, and this is the Black History Month episode. It isn't just about looking back. It's about recognizing responsibility. We are the beneficiaries of resilience, of brilliance, of sacrifice. Now it's our turn to build, to mentor, to create, to elevate HBCU sports, to support Black institutions, to invest in our own narratives. Because if history taught us anything, it's that when we build ourselves, we thrive. This is Jaguar Talk. I am Coach67 Sports TV, and this is about heritage and legacy. Welcome to this special episode of Jaguar Talk with Coach67. I'm your host, Coach67 Sports TV. Shout out to the awesome and amazing LDBC. For all those individuals that love Southern University the way I do, tap in with our Southern University Facebook group. Let's see who we have in the building. You dig? Man, salute to the family. Relaxing, calming, rain. Salute Coach67, chat, HBCU family, and Jaguar Nation. Salute to your fam. Relaxing, calming, rain, put go Jags. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Motivation to be a millionaire. Says salute Coach67, chat, HBCU family, and Jaguar Nation. Go Jags. Yes, sir. Man, salute to the brother Joseph David. He said, "What's up, Coach67 Sports TV?" Man, salute to your family. Salute to your boy Jay. He said, "Salute, Coach Go Jags." Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, my brother, Jared Love Green. Tomorrow night we're gonna be on his channel with the Southern Baller Show. And then of course on Thursday, HBCU Fanatics. Y'all be certain to tap in on with his channel. He said, "What's up, family? Salute to your fam." Now, as we all know, this weekend I dropped a video talking about Marshall Faulk not promoting Southern University. And the biggest issue I have with this entire scenario is, first of all, it's a highly controversial topic, and the HBCU realm is extremely viral. And that video from Saturday, it right now has done 1.5 thousand views on my channel. It's the most watched piece of content I have on my channel. And the thing I don't like about it is the fact that it's an extremely divisive topic, but more than anything, I feel like it's negative. And I'm the type of person I like to see the glass being half full as opposed to half empty. But it's an extremely divisive topic. And whether, when we look at sports, the teams that get the most coverage over the years, whether it's, a team like the New York Yankees, whether it's a team like the Dallas Cowgirls or the Pittsburgh Steelers, or even in more recent time, the New England Patriots, teams that are extremely polarizing. Either you love them or you hate them. Those teams seem to garner the most attention. And I think when it comes to social media, uh, topics that are extremely polarizing, like for example, the gender war. Either you have more of a traditional mindset, or you're a feminist, or you black pill, or whatever the case may be. Those topics are extremely polarizing. So those topics tend to garner a lot of interest and a lot of attention. So, that's one of the reasons why I really I wasn't extremely high on the topic itself. However, I took more of a seeing the glass being half full as opposed to half empty approach. However, the biggest issue I had in this entire scenario is that when I promoted the video in multiple different Facebook groups, on multiple different social media platforms, individuals didn't even bother to click the video. They just looked at the title and then they just jumped in the comment section, whether it was one of the many Facebook groups that I'm in, uh, whether it was the actual video itself. They start commenting without even actually watching the video, which is insane to me. I mean, it's one thing if somebody sends you like a ridiculously long, huge article and you don't feel like reading the entire article. But if somebody like myself, which I did was post a link to a YouTube video that's less than 12 minutes long, and for you to hop in the comment section and start commenting on the topic and not even really like actually watch the video, it's like, come on, man. Like, I hate to say it, but it's, black people, we got to do better in regards to, like, hey, if we don't know what the video is about or what the live stream or whatever it is, man, quit just jumping in the comment section without actually doing due diligence to actually look at the video, whatever the case may be. I mean, that's insane to me. And I think the thing that kind of made that particular piece of content just so watched in this HBCU realm is the fact that it's a hot button topic. Of course, Perry White, salute to Perry White. Perry White, he brought it up. Uh, Reggie Flood talked about it also. So at the end of the day, it's like, it's a real polarizing topic. It's a real polarizing subject. And me personally, I think everybody is entitled to their own opinion. You know, this individual, he's entitled to his own opinion. That individual, she's entitled to her own opinion. But at the end of the day, from my personal perspective, like Marshall Faulk hasn't even made it to the 2026 Blue versus Gold Spring game yet. So I think a lot of people to like take a hard stance one way or the other. I mean, in my personal opinion, I think people gonna have their opinions, but I mean, to me, it's too early in the game to have such a strong opinion in a negative way. And I'm not gonna lie, somebody like myself initially, I was more of a proponent of, hiring a proven HBCU head coach, somebody like a Trey Oliver, like a Chennis Berry, that type of individual. But once they decided to go with Marshall Faulk, I was with it. And I think a lot of people that has kind of been going against him, to me, it seems like those individuals were not proponents of him getting the job to begin with. But I think at this point to be like extremely negative in that regard. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like he right for not putting, he the head football coach at Southern University, is a link in in his bio link. I'm not saying, that's cool. But what I'm saying is, I think at this point, in my personal opinion, is being a little bit nitpicky. And I'm gonna give you an example, like using my own real life self, right? The last relationship I was in, the woman that I was in a relationship with, she was just so nitpicky. And I'm like, these things that you complaining about, in a grand scheme of things, it doesn't determine whether I'm a good guy or a bad guy, whether I have good character or poor character. It's just you just nitpicking over every little thing. I'm gonna give you a couple examples. When I eat, oh, you smack too much. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, Is this what you really complaining about? Like, it's that big a deal? Then another thing she used to complain about is when I walk, I would slide my feet. So I would slide my slippers when I'm walking up and walking in the house. And I'm like, bro, are you serious? Like, those are like the most stupid things ever. And then guess what? When we went our separate ways, guess what? I'm almost certain if she would be honest and have an honest moment of truth, she would realize, like, hey, those things were extremely nitpicky. And at the end of the day, they really didn't matter. They didn't determine whether I was good to be in a relationship with or not. And I think the same thing when it comes down to this. I think if for those people that's really, kind of adamant that, hey, Marshall Faulk needs to promote Southern University more. He needs to wear more Southern University paraphernalia and gear. He should have been at National Signing Day. He should have wore Southern University gear when he was on press row at the Super Bowl. I promise you, had he done all of those things and Southern turned around and they went 2-10 next season, would none of that matter? And on the flip side of it, if he's not doing any of those things, he didn't show up to TJ Ribs for National Signing Day, and he went to press row at the Super Bowl, and he didn't wear any Southern University paraphernalia. But he turns around and he goes 10-2. I promise you, all will be forgiven. So at the end of the day, I think we at a slow point in the off season. Not a lot is going on. So these type of things are under a microscope, and people tend to get real nitpicky when it comes to these type of issues, these type of topics. At the end of the day, I feel like the ultimate goal and the main thing that we should focus on is, taking, one day at a time, one step at a time, and building a program and being a much improved program in 2026 compared to the program in 2025. Instead of being 2-10, hey, let's get to 6-6, 7-5. And then you take that much improved team, that much improved season, and you build on it for the following season. So at the end of the day, I think that's the main thing, I will focus on from a program standpoint, from an institutional standpoint, not the small things. And like I said, I'm not saying they're not important, but at the end of the day, it's not anything to the point where I'm like, you know what, we need to get rid of this dude because I don't feel like he all in. I don't feel like he bought in. I don't feel like he sold in. And like I said, I'm not condoning, him not putting his Southern University head coach, in his bio link, or the fact that he isn't promoting Southern University more. But I think the thing about it is, a lot of Jackson State fans been pointing this out. It was like, oh, y'all wanted him to be Coach Prime. I mean, me personally, I said this multiple times on my platform. I said this multiple times on my brother Jared Love Green channel, whether it was HBCU Fanatics or the Southern Baller Show. I said Deion Sanders, from a charisma standpoint, from a personality standpoint, he's a one-of-one. And truthfully speaking, I think he's in a class of his own. He's in the stratosphere of his own. And the only NFL Hall of Famer, I don't think this person even compares to him, but I think that would even be close to being in the same stratosphere as him is Ray Lewis. And if you could wave a magic wand and say, hey, Ray Lewis would be the defensive coordinator, he'll be the head coach at Southern, I wouldn't want Ray Lewis, because would Ray Lewis really want to be a head coach at Southern? Or even if we're just going to pretend, right? Southern had a good season this year, and Todd Light get a head coaching job somewhere else. Would I majestically want Ray Lewis to be the defensive coordinator at Southern? No, not necessarily so. So at the end of the day, yeah, that charisma and that magnetism, it was cool at JSU. But he actually had a passion for coaching in addition to that. And not only that, he was at JSU for a good time, not a long time. And the thing that helped JSU is the fact that, having a real good athletic director and having the next guy, the right next guy, to be an heir apparent. Because guess what? Had Willie Simmons not left FAMU, who knows? FAMU, all the success Jackson State had the last couple of years, that could be FAMU easily. And then in addition to that, T.C. Taylor has done a much better job carrying on GSU program and elevating it as opposed to what James Colsey did at FAMU. So at the end of the day, like, I think, people going to have their own perspective. They're going to have their own point of view. But me personally, I think it's kind of nitpicky. And, I think, him putting, I'm the head coach of Southern University, is, in his bio link, I don't think that's going to make or break this upcoming season. And, I'm the type of person, people tell me all the time, man, coach, you keep it real, you keep it real, you keep it 100. I mean, he hasn't given me any reason, Marshall Faulk, that is, he hasn't given me any reason to say, hey, he a bad coach, he this, he that. We ain't even got to the spring yet. So I think it's too early in the game to really say, hey, he should be doing this, he should be doing that. I think, me personally, I think that's nitpicky. And, as a guy that played like football in high school, certain things really I felt like wouldn't have been a make or break type of thing for my team. And I think as of right now, with Marshall Faulk being a NFL Hall of Famer and being a head coach of Southern, I think some of these things are not make or break. And I'm not saying if you did want him to put, he the head football coach at Southern University is a link in his bio, and him promoting them on social media. I'm not saying those are bad things, and I'm not saying people are wrong for asking for them, but for people to try to jump out the window behind these type of things, I think it's a little bit too much for me. So let me go to the chat. Your boy Jay said Carlos Brown and C. Wells spoke on it and said it's a non-issue. They care about what happens on the field. And essentially, shout out to the both of them. Shout out to C. Wells. Shout out to Carlos Brown. I feel the same way. I mean, like I said, we're just going to pretend. Let's just backtrack. Had Marshall Faulk showed up at National Signing Day at TJ Ribs, and had Marshall Faulk been jagged out in terms of apparel and paraphernalia and merchandise, and had he had here, I'm the head football coach at Southern University as a link in his bio. And Southern University had the same type of season they had last season. Man, people wouldn't care about none of those things. And on the flip side, if they go 2-10 if they go 10-2 instead of 2-10, all of that'll be water under the bridge. So I honestly believe by the time we get to October, the conversation we having now is gonna be a moot point and nobody's really gonna care. So I think that's a valid point, your boy G. Keep it up, fam. Salute. He said, I said it before the season started, but some black folks just don't seem to get it. Alums, supporters, leadership, students, and student athletes have to get behind the head coach in order for championships can happen. If any of these lack, it will cause unnecessary distractions. Perry White, he said, that is not needed. It's just simply ask and see what happens. If it's not in the contract, it's not necessary because it's not an obligation. And at the end of the day, and I mean, like I said, I don't cold water Perry White for having his opinion, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think, him having him the head football coach at Southern University as a link in his bio, it's not like it's going to add 3 extra wins to Southern University, come the fall. So that's the main thing I'm looking at. Is this relevant? Is this important? Yeah, I think to a certain degree, but is it a make or break type of thing? Not at all. So I think that's the main issue I had with with this controversy. You know what I'm saying? Joseph Davis said, should Faulk be judged mainly by what he does on the field when he is being paid $200K more than the prior coaches? What are the Jags getting for an extra $200K? I mean, I think that's a very interesting point, Joseph David. Uh, but truthfully speaking, if Southern University gets a couple Celebration Bowl victories, then I think it's an extra 200K well spent. But if Marshall Faulk yields the same kind of success that Terrence Graves and Eric Dooley did prior to him, then it was a bad investment. So at the end of the day, I think it's perspective, not only perspective, but it's looking at the end goal, the end result. Because even if we look at Jackson State in the Deion Sanders analogy that people keep trying to make, it worked out for Jackson State from the perspective of, he got their program back to where it once was. He won them a couple SWAC championships. But the thing people don't realize is he lost in the Celebration Bowl back-to-back years. And I think a couple things helped him. Helped Jackson State from the perspective of T.C. Taylor was a very good coach, and he elevated the program in the fact that Willie Simmons was no longer in the SWAC East. Those two things helped JSU as far as I'm concerned. So at the end of the day, it worked out for him, Keep it up, fam. Say Ed Reed. I think if he's talking about the Ed Reed versus Ray Lewis, I think if you're talking about, Ed Reed maybe being a better defensive coordinator than Ray Lewis, yes. But if you're talking about charisma and personality and that type of thing, I think Ray Lewis has that in abundance way beyond what Ed Reed has. That's just my personal opinion. So I think Ray Lewis would probably be the only person, and even him don't even come close to what Deion Sanders is a personality in terms of charisma and showmanship and that type of thing. But at the same token, if we are talking about strictly personality, yeah, I think Ray Lewis has that way above Ed Reed, in my personal opinion. Man, salute to my brother Jay Good. Salute to your fam. Prayers up for your dad. Everything gonna work out for him. Praying he has a speedy recovery. Your boy Jay said Coach Faulk was an NFL show a few days, and it says Southern University head coach under his name. Every interview he does, it says he's the head coach of Southern. The outrage is crazy. Yeah, and like I say, I think in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big a deal. So that's why, people was like, man, coach, he should be promoting the university and this, that, and the third. And then you got other people saying, hey, Southern University should promote itself. It's just his job to turn the program around and win games. No matter what your point of view, your perspective is, I don't think Southern is winning the SWAC championship in in February, as far as I'm concerned. Don't get me wrong. The recruiting class is going to go a long way to that to making that happen if it does happen. And the strength conditioning program, the all season stuff, learning the system, all of those things play a vital role in the success that they're gonna have in the fall. But I think the simple thing in terms of having I'm a head football coach at Southern University in my bio link. At the end of the day, I don't think it's a big deal, and I don't think it's gonna win you any more games. So that's my point of view, and that's my perspective on that in terms of the outrage. You know what I'm saying? Keep it up, fam. Say they're jumping out the window because they never wanted Marshall Faulk as the head coach of Southern. They're the only ones doing this. If they did, they would have tried to find a way to bring it to his decision. If he declined, then I understand the rant because it's warranted. But if there was never an attempt at a conversation, then it's hatred based out of jealousy and not getting what you wanted. Well, I'm not willing to go that far, but at the end of the day, I really legitimately believe and feel that it ain't really a huge deal to me. Salute to Mosley 210. He said, I thought Faulk was supposed to follow the Deion blueprint. if he's already failing. He said not being at SU signing day says a lot about his priorities. He's not committed to SU. And I think a lot of people feel that way, you know. Salute to PD71. He said we need to find better quarterbacks. Well, I mean, if you think if you're comparing, quarterbacks just to the quarterbacks of the past in terms of like Harold Blood and Noah Biden, Jalen Woods and JT Set, if that's the position, then all right, cool. But in terms of the incoming quarterbacks, like Littmer and T. Couillon and just the incoming freshman guys, it's really too early to tell because we haven't seen these guys take one snap yet. So I think at the end of the day, I mean, it'll be great to have a quarterback that transferred from a power four PWI. Yeah, I mean, that's great. But you don't have that guy, so you gotta work with what you have. But, I think these young quarterbacks that they're bringing in, I think those guys are going to surprise people. So at the end of the day, we'll see how it play out. Keep it up, fam. Say, if Prairie View can win the SWAC under a first-year D2 head coach and Tremaine Jackson, then Southern can win a SWAC championship with an NFL Hall of Famer in Marshall Faulk. Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to that, I think time will tell, And, we'll see how things play out. But, somebody just brought it up in terms of, the quarterback. I mean, Marshall Faulk and staff, they didn't bring in a quarterback that somebody like myself would covet. So I think that in itself, I mean, we just going to pretend for a minute. I know a lot of people say Andrew Body hasn't won anything in terms of championships. But just imagine if they'd have been able to bring Andrew Body to Southern with all the pieces that Southern has in place now. How much better you think that would have made them as a team? Barring the fact that he could stay healthy. So, barring that he's not going to get injured and he can stay healthy, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I think a quarterback like Andrew Body would have made Southern that much better as a team. Greenline Hammond, 3143, salute to you. He said, I don't think it's a big ask to at least wear some SU gear. Yeah, and like I said, I agree with you. I don't think it's a huge ask either. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's make or break either. And I think that's the thing many individuals are doing. They acting like him not wearing SU gear, like it's a make or break type of thing. So since he's not wearing SU gear or SU paraphernalia, then that means Southern University is only going to win 2 games again next season. Yeah, I mean, people saying he's not promoting the institution enough, I don't think it's a big ask, but at the same token, I don't think it's make or break either. Your boy JC Graves was wearing Southern gear every day, and we went 2-10. LOL. I mean, that's kind of my point, your boy J. I mean, if he wore Southern University gear every day, and you still end up going 2-10, it really doesn't matter at that point, Keep it up, fam. Say Marshall Faulk has worn the Southern hat, which is apparel. But Dion already know promotion and branding because that's been his life since being in the NFL. That is not the case for Marshall Faulk. Yeah, and it seems as if the point you're trying to make is, this is his first time stepping in that type of role, so he don't understand the magnitude of it. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a valid point. Jay Good said disregarding previous commitments and contracts can be costly. He said, I think those in the know were made privy upon accepting the role. I agree with you 100%. And he said the same thing. Graves was SU down to the Sox day one, and people wanted him gone day one. Yeah, and that's the thing about it too. You and I kind of talked about this behind the scenes in terms of, there's a certain cynical part of Jaguar Nation. No matter who you bring in, you never gonna satisfy everyone. You always gonna have some individuals that's gonna find fault and that's gonna nitpick, no matter who they'd have brought in. Whether it was Trey Oliver, whether it was Chennis Berry, uh, whether we brought back Dawson Odoms, whoever was gonna be brought in, somebody was gonna find a negative in it. And like I said, I'm the type of person I believe in seeing the glass being half full as opposed to half empty. But I do understand there are individuals that see the glass being half empty as opposed to half full. So, it's really not my job to make people see what they see. I mean, it is what it is. So, I mean, you just got to accept them for what they are. So, at the end of the day, it kind of is what it is. And even them, they didn't want they didn't want grades either. You know, so keep it up, fam. See, to go on an attack based on what they know inside of their own heads without considering that the other may just simply not know. Yeah. He said, can SU start recruiting from the river parishes again? All these talents are going elsewhere. Well, I talked about that also in terms of, you know, uh, I went to Assumption, and there was a point where Southern, you know, recruited Bayou Lafourche. They recruited the river parishes. They recruited Baton Rouge heavily. They recruited the I-10 corridor. They recruited those areas, and they kind of spread out. You know what I'm saying? Because uh, yesterday I saw Brad Hill. For those individuals that don't know, Brad Hill was a feature back when I played at Assumption, and I was a senior. Brad Hill was a junior, and Brandon Jacobs was a freshman. And at that point, Brandon Jacobs wasn't ready because he was a freshman. But even with that being said, like Brad Hill was that guy. Southern did recruit him, but he wasn't your prototypical Southern University running back. I talked to Melania Nicholas, whose funeral was Monday, Malundigra. Somebody like him, he was more of a Brad Hill type, and he didn't get much run at Southern. Melvin Williams Jr. got all the shine. So it was in Brad Hill's best interest to go to Grambling. But the point I'm trying to make is they did recruit him. So, Southern at that point under Pete Richardson, they recruited like these local areas, Baton Rouge heavy, the I-10 corridor from Baton Rouge to New Orleans, the river parishes. They recruited all those areas. Players like from St. James, from East St. John, West St. John, Hornville, Destrehan. They might not have brought in all of those guys, but they at least recruited. So it definitely will be interesting to see. Them getting back to that, and what that could do for the program. But on the flip side, other individuals say, hey, Southern University brought a lot of players in from New Orleans and Baton Rouge. And then in addition to that, they recruited nationally. So I think it's more perspective and point of view. You're not going to get every single local guy anyway. You're still going to lose guys at Grambling, the Jackson State, the Alcorn State, the Prairie View, the Texas Southern. Some of those guys are going to go elsewhere regardless. Your boy Jay said the AD and the board knew Coach Faulk wasn't going to be at signing day because of contracts he signed before he became the head coach. You can't break contracts. You could get sued by anything. Yeah, and Jay Good pointed that out too, in terms of, the commitments that he had ahead of time. You can't break those commitments. So yeah, Jay Good and I talked about that behind the scenes in terms of, yeah, he had these prior and previous commitments in place prior to him coming to Southern. So at the end of the day, like when you hire a celebrity head coach, that's part of it. Salute to Christopher Deuce. He said, Southern is a crumbling dynasty. Damn shame what they did to that dog. Christopher Dukes, I wouldn't get the repping so hard. so early. I mean, we ain't even got to the Blue versus Gold spring game yet. So for all those individuals that saying, hey, he should promote Southern University more, hey, guess what? I wouldn't get so excited so early, Christopher Dukes. Let's have this same conversation in September. Adrian Crook said JSU is a subsiding program. Israel Carey said, salute to Israel Carey. He said, on cue, LOL. I mean, just the thing. Adrian Crook went to Israel Carey's personal page and was harassing. I said, boy, Crook all over the place. Crook like Chucky. Crook is a menace. Your boy Jay said they recruited heavy in New Orleans and North Louisiana. I pointed that out to your boy Jay. So, for individuals that's saying, hey, they they didn't recruit Louisiana enough. If you say they didn't recruit Baton Rouge enough, or if you say they didn't recruit the River Parishes enough, yeah, I would agree with that. But they did definitely recruit Louisiana, Christopher Duke said carry every time. And Israel Carey got the laughing emoji. Adrian Crook said, the male zesties. the male zesty. Yes, indeed. Jay Good got LOL. Adrian Crook said, all in the ex-president. Israel Carey said, crazy shaking my head. Christopher Duke said, stalking. Adrian Cook said Diddy had a baby or party with those D boys. Woo! Dang. Israel Carey got Dukes. But I mean, I think the thing that a lot of people pointed out from a Southern University standpoint is the fact that not only did it kind of this subject and this topic, it kind of divided Southern University fan base from the standpoint of some individuals positive like myself, other individuals not so much. But a lot of other HBCU fan base, chimed in, and a lot of people seemed like they took pleasure and joy and delight in the discourse and the back and forth between, Southern University and Southern University, Southern University fans and other fan bases across the sway. So that's why a lot of individuals took offense to, like, hey, why we had to put this out on Front Street? Like, if we was gonna address the issue, we should have handled it behind closed doors. Did it even need to be handled at all? I mean, somebody like myself, I don't see the big deal, truthfully speaking. So it's kind of much to do about nothing. But at the end of the day, uh, it's still kind of. I mean, it even surpassed some of the Southern versus Jackson State content I done. Like the video from Saturday is the most watched piece of content I have on this channel, which is crazy to me. I didn't think that I didn't think it was that big a topic, but clearly it is. Your boy Jay said Coach Faulk has some great trainers on campus who work with top NFL players, training our players. That's the type of stuff you get with having him as head coach. But nobody talks about that. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Well, this is the thing we gotta realize, your boy G. I talk about myself being an individual that sees the glass being half full as opposed to half empty. Other individuals see the glass as being half empty as opposed to half full. But the day and age we live in, whether we talking about the news or whether we talk about viral stories on social media, the thing that gets the most attention, that drives the most traffic, that drives the most interest is negativity. So people are not going to want to promote those type of positive stories, your boy G. So at the end of the day, I think that's the biggest thing people need to take into consideration is people dwell more on negativity than positivity. And that's just simple facts, whether we're talking about Marshall Faulk, Southern University football, or just life in general. People tend to dwell more on the negative than they do on the positive. And that's just simple facts about it, you know. Joseph Davis said Faulk could have streamed from the Super Bowl to TJ Real event and on his Instagram, on his Instagram. He said would have given a huge national look for SU. Well, I'm not gonna lie, I think the recruiting class in itself kind of gave Southern University a huge national look. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I'm not disagreeing, but I still think the type of recruiting class Southern University had, I think it drew a lot of attention and a lot of interest from people, in my personal opinion. Adrian Cook said, I just want to know what practice squad TC doing? Man, Crook is not letting up. Adrian Cook said, what convict Mickey out here doing? Your boy Jay said, that's my only problem is our people questioning him publicly, knowing you got other folk out here waiting to use that as ammo against you. Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie. People have talked about that in the comment section. And in addition to talking about it in the comment section, people have hit me up behind the scenes and they kind of frustrated with the entire situation. And the irony about it is, your boy Jay, is a lot of people just kept commenting. I mean, as we speak, I'm still getting comments on that video. And I'm like, man, I dropped this video at about 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. And it's still getting comments in the comment section. The view's still going. I'm like, dang, I thought he would have stopped by now, but I guess not. Christopher Duke said, Perry got all his talking points from off script. I ain't gonna lie, Christopher Dukes, you a wild boy too now. Don't get it twisted, Dukes. But I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, it wasn't a huge deal to me. It's still not a huge deal to me. Now, if they don't play well in October and November, yeah, it'll be a different story. But if there's a complete 180 and you go from being 2-10 to 10-2, this is a completely different conversation. So at the end of the day, to me, it's much to do about nothing. Your boy Jay said, because I want him to do interviews with our local Southern media, and if this is how they act towards him, it will turn him away, and I don't want that. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to keep it above. I mean, hey, I'm almost certain he's going to come to a point where he's going to do local media, but, you know, we got to get to that point. Adrian Crook said, but you don't miss a Scottish show, Dukes. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I know people that are, you know, that's real big off-script fans. And then I know other people that, you know, and I'm not just talking about Jackson State fans. I'm talking about Southern University fans or just HBCU fans in general. They're like, man, I don't rock with Scotty. You know, this, that, and the third, woo. The only interaction I had with him, he was very respectful. He was nice. He was cordial. I mean, I don't have nothing to say negative about him. But, you know, other people have told me, like, man, behind the scenes, like, man, coach, I don't like this about Scotty. I don't like that about Scotty. I'm like, you know, to each his own, you know. But, you know, I think since he really not rocking on YouTube no more, I mean, you know, it kind of is what it is. And speaking of that, Christopher Dukes pointed that out. He said, Scotty got run off YouTube and Alabama A&M felt sorry for him. Yes, indeed. Well, I mean, hey, Christopher Dukes, hey, let some people tell it. GSU ran him off of YouTube. You know, hey, I know one person that was like, man, hey, bro, he had the most popular show in HBCU football, and these JSU fans that ran the man off. And I'm like, bro, look, hey, to each his own, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, you got a bunch of other HBCU content creators out there, you know what I'm saying? Besides Scotty, you got you know, PJ Jones, you got Reggie Flood. I mean, you got a bunch of people out there, you know what I'm saying? Wild Wayne. So, it is what it is. Jared said, oh, word. No, I ain't gonna lie. I wouldn't read too much into that now. Adrian Cook said, no, dumb, you know what? He said, your lawsuit failed, boy. LOL. Well, I ain't gonna lie, from what I'm understanding, like I guess this new role at Alabama A&M, it occupies a lot of his time. That's why he don't have time to go live as much as he used to. So I don't know. So, you know, so it is what it is. Christopher Duke said, Crook loves him though. And he got the laughing emojis. Jay Good said, the thin skin coat ran that man off. My brother Jared Levin Green got the laughing emojis. Christopher Duke said, plus he has Crook blocked, laughing emojis. Adrian Crook said, Dukes, how you know? Your boy Jay said the most hilarious thing will be when Coach Faulk is in Southern gear for spring camp. What will be the narrative then? Yeah. And then you got to realize you're going to have some negative people that's going to find a narrative even then, your boy Jay. So at that point, then what? You know what I'm saying? Salute to the troop, 4938. He said people also like to watch the train wreck in street brawl. Oh, I'm not going to lie. I think just in real life, people like to watch train wrecks. But in terms of the street brawls, man, I ain't gonna lie. That stuff, the Troop 4938, man, hey, that have like millions and millions and millions and millions of views. That's why I say, I'm gonna be honest. If I have to do something that don't align with me from a character perspective, does not align with my morals, my beliefs, my whatever. If I gotta do that to go viral, hey, I ain't going viral. So at the end of the day, I mean, it is what it is. Adrian Crook said, Dukes, I thought you didn't watch him like that. Adrian Crook said, Dukes, I share those facts y'all call slander. They came from the newspaper articles, LOL. Christopher Duke said, Crook, he said that he blocked you. Hey, it is what it is. And speaking of Crook, I seen Crook, somebody post some of Crook high school footage of Crook just running over everybody. I said, man, look at Crook running people over like that. But yeah, I'm getting ready to shut this live stream down. Man, I appreciate everybody that dropped in that came through that showed some love. Crook said, Dukes, did he really say that? Or are you lying again? Man, y'all going at it. But yeah, but I saw the footage of Crook in high school just running people over. I said, man, look at Crook. But yeah, but like I said, I appreciate everybody that came through that showed love. And of course, tomorrow night, I'm gonna say probably about 7:00 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're gonna be on my brother channel, Jerry Lovin Green, the Southern Baller Show. We're gonna talk about how the NFL only invited. At first, they didn't invite no HBCU players to the 2026 Combine. Now it's to the point where they invited one HBCU player, which to me is ridiculous. We talk about black people not getting opportunities, this, that, and the third. or even players from HBCUs not getting opportunities. Hey, I mean, it is what it is. But we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about some other topics tomorrow night. So y'all be certain to come over to this channel, check us out. Then after that, on Thursday, another edition of HBCU Fanatics. So y'all be certain to come through, you know, check the content out, you know, show my brother Jerry Love and Green some love. But I'll catch y'all on the rebound. Y'all have a blessed, phenomenal evening. Peace and blessing to the family. And go Jags, you dig?